Joe Biden is not well. We can all see it with our own eyes, but the delusion and gaslighting from MSNBC and Karine Jean-Pierre is worse. Just take a look at this hot off the press footage of Joe Biden malfunctioning, and let me be clear, this footage has not been altered or manipulated in any way.
Thanks to all the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure I'm going to introduce you.
Inspires a lot of confidence, right? Well, Karine Jean-Pierre and her allies over at MSNBC have appeared to invent a brand new word to defend Joe's obvious cognitive decline. Cheap fakes. I presume this is their spin on the word deepfake, which is a video that is AI generated or AI altered. And by calling clips of Joe Biden cheap fakes, they're implying that these clips are not only fake, but low blows and cheap shots. But there is just one problem. This argument is not only unconvincing, it's cruel. To both Joe Biden, because this is elder abuse, and to the American people, because we're not unintelligent. Take a look at what Karine Jean-Pierre had to say at the White House press briefing.
Yeah, and I think you all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith, and some of your news organization have been very clear, have stressed that these right-wing critics of the president have a credibility problem because of the fact checkers have repeatedly caught them pushing misinformation, disinformation, and so we see this, and this is something coming from your part of the world, calling them cheap fakes and misinformation.
Whew, there is a lot to unpack there. First of all, no one used the word cheap fakes until you did, Karine. I did some research on Google Trends. There was virtually no chatter or use of the word cheap fake until your little press conference. So how dare you suggest that the press was commonly using this word to describe these clips of Joe Biden? And then Karine had the audacity to talk about credibility. Well, Karine, you want to know what diminishes your credibility, and by extension, the credibility of the mainstream media? It's when you suddenly start using the word cheap fake when literally no one before has used it, and then your allies in the media are all suddenly using the word. Take a look at how MSNBC's Morning Joe used the word cheap fake, and please note how Morning Joe had to keep repeating himself over and over because he had nothing of substance to say.
The Republican accounts circulating many of the clips responded claiming the videos are unedited and promised to keep posting them.
A lie.
And also
just,
if something is unedited, it's
really
one angle,
lies.
not showing the whole story.
How about this, Mia? They lie about their lies, which of course you would expect liars to lie about their lies.
Oh, I mean, we're talking about Trump.
But they're lying about their cheap fake. They're not
Washington
bad.
Post.
By the way, I got to say this one more time. They're only helping Joe Biden.
But things got even worse. MSNBC attempted to defend that infamous Joe Biden video at the G7 summit in Italy. In other words, they tried to debunk what we saw with our own eyes. But there is just one problem. If you take 2 seconds to think about what they're saying, their entire argument falls apart. First, here's how MSNBC poorly attempted to defend Joe Biden.
And we showed you last week the Trump campaign sharing a clip which appeared to show President Biden at the G7 summit wandering off from other world leaders before the Italian prime minister comes over to alert him about a group photo. But when you see the video from a different angle, you see the whole story. After a skydiver landed in front of the president and other leaders, President Biden turns to his left where there are troops. The president appears to say something to them and gives them the thumbs up before he's tapped on the arm by the Italian prime minister.
Dear MSNBC, you just proved our point. Your argument makes absolutely zero sense. It just proves that Joe Biden is not mentally there. It doesn't matter that there were other people behind him, and let me prove it to you. Here's why MSNBC's argument makes absolutely no sense. First of all, the parachuter has a G7 flag. All eyes are clearly supposed to be on him. You'll notice that the world leaders are all huddled together in a single spot. They were told to stand there. Now, think about how impressive this is. This man jumped out of an airplane thousands of feet above them, and he hit his mark within arm's reach right in front of them. That's why the world leaders were planted there. This feat and coordination is so amazing that the eyes are supposed to be on the man who just landed. Even if you buy MSNBC's explanation, why would Joe be fascinated with the other men behind him who are doing nothing, rather than the man who impressively hit his mark after jumping out of a plane thousands of feet above them? And why would the other world leaders look so worried? Why would they be getting his attention, bringing him back to the action, if there was nothing to be worried about? This is the problem with left-wing fact-checkers. They can almost always be debunked with logic, yet people who don't pay attention to the news usually fall for this stuff. But here's the problem, it's not just MSNBC. The rest of the mainstream media is falling for this propaganda. Take a look at CBS.
You've probably heard of deep fakes, but just last week, as President Biden was at the G7 summit in Italy, cheap fake clips went viral on social media and were picked up by some news outlets.
Now, notice how CBS has the phrase digitally altered video in the upper left-hand corner. That is a lie. Even MSNBC didn't stoop that low. MSNBC at least acknowledged that the footage is real. They just thought that we were dumb enough to fall for the explanation that there was another camera angle. But like I showed you, once you apply logic, that excuse doesn't make any sense. But CBS has the audacity to show the real footage and label it as digitally altered. And that is exactly why Trump calls the media fake news. But there's something even worse that you have to see for yourself to believe. It would be one thing if MSNBC and the mainstream media were just making excuses for Joe Biden, but they are now proactively claiming that Trump is the one in mental decline. Take a look.
Again, it's just like the way we started this show. Trump is literally crazy on stage, and I say it not in a good way. Not well, not fit, not mentally capable of holding together a sentence when his prompter goes down. And yet Biden is constantly covered for being old, but yet travels onto the world stage doing speeches, dinners, important ceremonies.
Mika, if Biden is so strong, then why did he demand to be seated for his upcoming debate with President Trump? If Biden is so strong, then why doesn't he do rallies like President Trump? And if he is so mentally competent and cognitively there, then why doesn't he do more interviews with the media? You know, like President Trump does. We all know Joe Biden calls it an early day, so what's your excuse for that? And the crazy thing is that Joe Scarborough thinks that this will actually backfire on Republicans.
They're so freaked out that Biden did well, they say he must have been on cocaine. A sort of, 2024 version of, maybe an Eric Clapton song in the background, but they're doing the same thing for the debate. They lower expectations.
Yeah.
They say he's not cogent. And then he goes out and he does a really good job. And they're like, wait, what happened?
Joe, when Biden outperforms expectations, it's obvious he's jacked up on something. I mean, his usual speeches are so bad that even the extremely left-wing Huffington Post called out the White House for editing and manipulating official Biden transcripts to make the record appear better than it actually is. So if Biden is so mentally fit, then why does the White House have to edit the official transcripts all the time? Now, here's the thing. Republicans have suggested that Biden is jacked up on something. I've always assumed it was a bunch of caffeine. Well, Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski may have let the cat out of the bag.
They say he must have been on cocaine. A sort of,
I haven't heard any talk about cocaine. Have you? I mean, other than Hunter Biden bringing cocaine into the White House, but that's another story. Dear MSNBC and Karine Jean-Pierre, enough is enough. Joe Biden is not well. I know it, you know it, and my cat knows it. The difference, of course, is that some of us are willing to state the obvious and others are in denial. But as always, that is just my analysis, and I would love to know yours in the comments below. What do you think about that G7 summit? Do you buy MSNBC's explanation about the other camera angle? Or do you agree with my assessment that that additional angle just makes Joe Biden look even worse? If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask, but it really does help me in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.